January 29th, 1945, 2:47 in the afternoon. Holzheim, Belgium. First Sergeant Leonard Funk turns the corner of a farmhouse and just stops. Standing right in front of him are 90 German soldiers. Half of them already have weapons in their hands. The other half are grabbing rifles off a pile on the ground. 4 American GIs are kneeling in the snow, hands locked behind their heads. These Germans were prisoners 20 minutes ago. 80 of them captured by Funk's company during the assault on this village, being held by just 4 guards. 4, because that was all anyone could spare. Now they're free, now they're armed, and now they're getting ready to hit Company C from behind. A German officer steps forward, shoves the barrel of an MP-40 submachine gun directly into Funk's gut, and starts screaming at him in German. Funk doesn't speak German. None of the Americans do. The officer screams again, louder this time, face going red. Funk looks at the 90 Germans. He looks at his 4 disarmed soldiers kneeling in the snow. He looks at the gun pressed into his stomach. And then Leonard Funk starts laughing. The German officer's face shifts confusion first, then pure rage. He screams even louder. Funk laughs harder. What happens in the next 60 seconds will leave 21 Germans dead. The rest will throw their weapons down and surrender. And Leonard Funk will be awarded the Medal of Honor for one of the most unbelievable moments of combat in the entire Second World War. All because he couldn't stop laughing. Leonard Alfred Funk Jr. was born on August 27th, 1916 in Braddock Township, Pennsylvania, steel country. Smokestacks and foundries lining the Monongahela River, about 8 miles east of Pittsburgh. Funk grew up fast. He learned what responsibility looked like early on. By the time he walked out of high school in 1934, he'd already been looking after his younger brother for years. The Great Depression was deep into its 5th year. Jobs were almost impossible to find. College wasn't even a conversation. Then June of 1941 arrives. War is burning across Europe and Asia. Congress extends the draft. Funk's number comes up. He reports to the induction center in Wilkinsburg, Pennsylvania. He's 24 years old, 5'5", 140 pounds. The Army physical examiner takes one look at him and probably pencils in clerk duty. They got that completely wrong. Funk volunteers for the paratroopers. In 1941, American airborne forces are barely a thing. The whole idea is brand new, jumping out of a perfectly good aircraft, landing behind enemy lines, fighting while completely surrounded. To most soldiers, it sounds like a death wish. But the men who volunteer aren't most soldiers. Airborne training is built to break you. 5 weeks of running, jumping, climbing, falling relentless physical conditioning that washes out roughly half the people who try it. Then come the jump towers, then the aircraft. The first time you step out of a C-47 at 1,200 feet. Every single instinct in your body is telling you to grab the doorframe and hold on for dear life. The ground is a long way down. The wind hits your face like a wall. Your parachute is fabric and cord and faith, and that's it. Funk earns his jump wings. He gets assigned to Company C, 1st Battalion, 508th Parachute Infantry Regiment, down at Camp Blanding in Florida. The 508th ships to England in late 1943, where they fold into the 82nd Airborne Division, the All-Americans combat veterans who've already jumped into Sicily and Italy, men who have already killed and already watched friends die. Funk is the new guy, 27 years old, which is practically ancient by paratrooper standards. Most of the guys around him are barely 20, but Funk has something they don't. He has a steadiness to him, a quiet kind of competence that's hard to manufacture, the sort of thing that makes men instinctively follow you, even into hell. By D-Day, he's a squad leader. By the time Holland comes around, he'll be acting company executive officer. But first, he has to survive Normandy. June 6th, 1944, 1:30 in the morning. The C-47 Skytrain is shaking as flak explodes all around it. Funk is standing in the stick, the line of paratroopers queued up and waiting to jump. 60 pounds of equipment is strapped to his body. M1A1, Thompson submachine gun, ammunition, grenades, rations, medical kit. The aircraft is at 400 feet. That's too low for a safe jump by any standard. But the pilots can't climb. German anti-aircraft fire is everywhere. Tracers cutting through the darkness like angry fireflies. Fragments pinging off the fuselage. 13,000 paratroopers from the 82nd and 101st Airborne are in the air tonight. The mission is to land behind the beaches, lock down bridges and crossroads, and keep German reinforcements from reaching the coast. Nothing goes according to plan. The green light comes on. Funk jumps. The prop blast hits him like getting hit by a truck. Then the chute deploys, and suddenly the world goes completely quiet. Below him is France. Occupied France. Enemy territory as far as the eye can see. The D-Day airborne drop is chaos from the very first minute. Anti-aircraft fire has scattered the formations across 50 miles of French countryside. Paratroopers are landing in flooded fields and drowning under the weight of their gear. Others are coming down right in the middle of German positions and dying before they can even cut themselves free of their harnesses. Funk hits the ground hard. His ankle twists badly on impact, badly sprained, possibly fractured. The pain is immediate and intense. Every step he takes for the next 2 weeks is going to hurt. But he can walk. He can fight. And right now, that's all that matters. He pulls his chute in, buries it, and starts moving. He's 40 miles from his drop zone. 40 miles of German-held territory. In the dark. Completely alone. Within a few hours. He started pulling together a group of lost paratroopers men from different units, different companies, different regiments, all of them scattered, all of them looking for someone to tell them what to do next. Eventually there are 18 of them, and they all look to Funk. For 10 days, Funk leads this group through German-held territory. They move at night. They hide during the day. When they have to fight, they fight. And despite his ankle screaming at him with every step, Funk insists on taking point, putting himself at the front, in the most exposed and dangerous position, so his men don't have to. They link up with Allied forces on June 17th. Every single man makes it back, not one casualty, 10 days behind enemy lines, 40 miles of occupied France. And Leonard Funk brings all 18 of them home. For that, he earns the Silver Star, the third highest combat decoration, plus a Bronze Star for meritorious service, plus his first Purple Heart, and he's just getting started. September 17th, 1944. Holland. Operation Market Garden, the largest airborne assault in the history of warfare. 35,000 paratroopers dropping into the Netherlands all at once. British, American, and Polish forces together. All of them going in to capture a series of bridges across the Rhine. If it works, the Allies could be pushing into Germany by Christmas. Field Marshal Montgomery's plan is ambitious. Maybe too ambitious. The paratroopers have to capture and hold 7 bridges stretched across 64 miles of Dutch territory, while ground forces race up a single highway to reach them. Everything depends on speed. Everything depends on surprise. Everything depends on nothing going wrong. Everything goes wrong. The British 1st Airborne Division lands at Arnhem, the furthest bridge on the route. What they don't know is that 2 SS Panzer divisions are resting nearby. Divisions that weren't supposed to be there. Divisions nobody had planned for. The British are surrounded almost immediately. For 9 days they fight street by street, building by building. Of the 10,000 men who dropped, only 2,000 make it out. The bridge at Arnhem becomes known to history as a bridge too far. A textbook example of what happens when a plan runs out of luck. But Leonard Funk doesn't know anything about the big picture. He only knows his mission. Support the landings. Secure the drop zones. Kill Germans after touching down. His company locks down their objective without much trouble. The 508th is operating near Nijmegen, helping to take bridges that will let ground forces push forward. Then Funk notices something that is very much not part of the plan. 3 German 20mm flak guns anti-aircraft weapons are opening up on the incoming Allied gliders. These gliders are carrying reinforcements, jeeps, artillery pieces, ammunition, medical supplies, everything the operation needs to keep going. If those guns don't go quiet, hundreds of men are going to die before they even touch the ground. The gun position is dug into high ground near Vuskel. About 20 German soldiers are manning the weapons and pulling security sandbags, camouflage netting, interlocking fields of fire, a well-prepared defensive position. Funk has 3 men. Standard military doctrine says you need at least a 3-to-1 advantage to have a realistic shot at assaulting a fortified position. Funk has the exact opposite. He's outnumbered 7-to-1. He attacks anyway, leading from the front. Funk and his 3-man patrol go straight at the German position. They cut through the security detachment, storm the gun emplacements, and take out all 3 weapons and their crews. 20 Germans, 3 Americans. The guns go silent. The gliders land safely. For that, Funk earns the Distinguished Service Cross, second only to the Medal of Honor in terms of valor decorations. He now has a Silver Star and a DSC, 2 of the rarest combat awards in the entire U.S. military. Most soldiers who earn even one of those are considered heroes for the rest of their lives. Funk still isn't done. December 16th, 1944. The Germans launch their last desperate push. 3 armies, 400,000 men, 1,400 tanks, 1,900 artillery pieces. They tear through the American lines in the Ardennes forest like a hammer blow, driving hard for the port of Antwerp. Hitler's plan is borderline insane, but it almost works. He's betting everything on one massive offensive. Split the Allied armies, take Antwerp. Force a negotiated peace in the West, so Germany can shift everything east and deal with the Soviets. For the Americans, it's a nightmare from the first hour. The attack slams into thinly held sectors, manned by green troops and burned-out veterans who'd been pulled off the line just to rest. Entire divisions buckle. Thousands of soldiers surrender. The German advance punches a bulge 50 miles deep into the Allied lines. The Battle of the Bulge. The biggest battle the American army will fight in all of World War II. 89,000 American casualties before it's over. The weather is absolutely brutal snow, ice, temperatures dropping to 5 below zero. Men freeze to death in their foxholes. Weapons jam. Vehicles won't start. The cold is killing people just as effectively as the Germans are. And then comes Malmedy, December 17th, 1944. One day into the German offensive, a convoy from the 285th Field Artillery Observation Battalion is moving near the Bonnier crossroads when they roll straight into the spearhead of Kampfgruppe, Piper, and SS Armored Battle Group, moving fast and hitting hard. The Americans in that convoy are rear echelon troops, artillery observers, radio operators. They are not equipped to fight tanks and SS infantry. After a short engagement, 113 of them surrender. They're disarmed and herded into an open field near the crossroads. Hands up. Prisoners of war. Then the SS opens fire. Machine guns, pistols, rifles. They shoot them down where they stand. Men who try to run are cut down from behind. Men who fall wounded are walked up to and shot in the head. 84 Americans die in that field. Some survive by playing dead, lying completely still in the snow for hours, while German boots pass inches from their faces, while German voices laugh nearby. When darkness finally falls, 43 survivors crawl away and make it back to American lines. The news moves through the American army like electricity. Within hours, word is out the Germans are executing prisoners. Malmedy changes everything. Before that day, the war in Europe still had a kind of grim, unspoken code to it. Soldiers surrendered when the situation was truly hopeless. Prisoners were treated according to the Geneva Convention. There was a rough professionalism between enemies, even in the worst of it. After Malmedy, that's gone. American soldiers swear they will never surrender to the SS. Some units pass down unofficial orders that nobody puts in writing. When Funk hears about the massacre, something inside him goes cold and hard. He's already seen too much Normandy. Holland. Friends dying in fields and forests all across Europe. But this is different. This isn't combat. This is murder. Cold-blooded execution of men who laid down their weapons and trusted the rules of war to protect them. Right then, Leonard Funk makes a decision. He will never surrender to the Germans. No matter what. No matter the odds. No matter the circumstances. That decision is about to matter more than he could possibly imagine. January 29th, 1945. The Ardennes, the German offensive has been broken, and now the Allies are pushing back hard. Company C, 508th Parachute Infantry, gets orders to take the Belgian village of Holzheim. There's a problem. Company C is badly under strength. The executive officer, the second in command, has been killed. They don't have nearly enough men for a proper assault. Funk is now acting executive officer, and he looks at his depleted roster and makes a decision. He walks into the company headquarters tent. Inside are clerks, supply guys, cook's men who have spent most of this war behind desks and filing cabinets. Funk looks at them and says it plain, "You're all infantry now. Grab your weapons. We're taking that village." He puts together a makeshift platoon, 30 men who, for the most part, have never fired a shot at another human being in their lives. They've had basic training, sure, but actual combat. Most of them have no idea what that feels like. Funk doesn't have the luxury of caring about that right now. He needs bodies. He'll turn them into soldiers on the way there. The march to Holzheim is 15 miles through waist-deep snow in the middle of a driving blizzard. Temperatures well below freezing. German artillery is lobbing shells at them the whole way, harassing fire snapping at their flanks. Funk leads from the front the entire time. They reach Holzheim. Funk organizes the assault. His clerks, his makeshift warriors, follow him straight into the village. 15 houses, and there are Germans dug into every single one of them machine guns, rifles, grenades. Funk and his men clear them all. 30 prisoners captured. Not one American casualty. Another unit sweeps through the other side of town and picks up 50 more Germans. 80 prisoners in total. They're corralled into the yard of a farmhouse and put under guard. Funk looks at his men. They've been marching and fighting for hours. And there's still scattered resistance elsewhere. In the village, German soldiers who haven't given up yet. He can only spare 4 men to watch the prisoners. Just 4. Keep them here, he tells the guards. We'll send reinforcements as soon as we can. Then Funk heads back into the fight. He has absolutely no idea what's about to happen behind him. While Funk is out clearing the rest of Holzheim, a German patrol moves toward the farmhouse. Maybe 10 men, maybe 20. All of them wearing white camouflage capes over their uniforms. In the snow and the chaos of a village still being fought over, they look almost identical to American soldiers in winter gear. The 4 guards don't realize what's happening until it's already too late. The Germans rush them, disarm them, force them down to their knees. And then they open the gate. 80 German prisoners, plus the patrol that freed them. 90 men total. They grab weapons off the pile. They organize fast. These are soldiers, not civilians. And they know exactly what they're going to do. They're going to hit Company C from behind. Funk's company is scattered all over the village, clearing out the last pockets of resistance. They're not watching their backs. They have no reason to, if 90 Germans come at them from behind while they're spread out and exposed. It won't be a fight. It'll be a massacre. The German officer in charge, probably a lieutenant or a captain, starts issuing orders. Machine guns there. Ambush position here. Wait for my signal. That is the exact moment Leonard Funk walks around the corner of the farmhouse. He came to check on the prisoners. Routine. Make sure the guards are holding up. See if reinforcements had made it over yet. He was not expecting to walk straight into 90 armed Germans. He comes around the corner and just freezes. The scene in front of him is almost impossible to process. His 4 guards are on their knees in the snow, disarmed. The prisoners, who are supposed to be unarmed and contained, are standing all over the yard with rifles in their hands, forming up for an attack. The German officer spots Funk immediately. The first sergeant's stripes on his sleeve mark him as a leader, a prize. The officer walks straight toward him, shoves the barrel of his MP-40 directly into Funk's stomach, and screams a command in German. Surrender. Drop your weapon. Except Funk doesn't speak a word of German. He has no idea what the man is saying. The officer screams again, louder, veins standing out on his neck, face going red. Funk takes it all in 90 Germans, half of them already armed. 4 Americans helpless on their knees. 1 other American soldier standing next to him with nothing he can do. The math of survival is basically 0. There is no version of this situation where Leonard Funk wins a firefight. He is outnumbered 90-1 with a gun in his gut. The rational move, the sensible move is to surrender. But Leonard Funk remembers Malmedy. He remembers 84 Americans shot down in an open field, left to freeze in the snow, executed after they'd already given up. He already made his decision. He is never surrendering to the Germans. So instead of complying, instead of slowly raising his hands or unslinging his weapon to hand it over, Leonard Funk starts laughing. Nobody knows for certain why. Maybe it was deliberate, a calculated move to throw the officer off balance and buy himself a few seconds. Maybe it was the stress response of a brain that had just been handed an impossible situation and short-circuited. Maybe it genuinely struck him as absurd an officer screaming commands in a language Funk had never spoken a word of, standing there expecting full cooperation. Funk himself later said he tried to stop and just couldn't. Something about the whole thing hit him in a way he couldn't control. Whatever the reason, the effect is immediate and total. The German officer screams louder. Funk laughs harder, bends forward, shoulders shaking, calls out to his men that he doesn't understand a word this guy is saying. And here's the thing that makes it even stranger. Some of the German soldiers start laughing too. The tension in that yard becomes genuinely bizarre. Their officer is turning purple with rage. And this one American won't stop cackling with a gun jammed in his stomach. The officer is completely unmoored. This is not how prisoners behave. Prisoners beg. Prisoners plead. Prisoners comply. They don't stand there cracking up while you scream at them point blank. For a few critical seconds, just a few, the German officer doesn't know what to do next. And Leonard Funk uses every single one of those seconds. Still laughing. Still playing it loose and easy. Funk slowly reaches up toward his Thompson submachine gun. It's slung over his shoulder, the way paratroopers always carry it. The German officer watches the motion and relaxes slightly. Good. The American is finally handing over his weapon. Funk's hand closes around the grip of the Thompson. He starts to unsling it slowly, carefully, and the German officer waits for his new prisoner. Then Funk moves. One motion, faster than thought. He swings the Thompson down, brings the muzzle into line, and pulls the trigger. The M1A1 Thompson fires. 45 ACP rounds at 600 per minute. At that range, each round hits like a sledgehammer. The first burst catches the German officer square in the chest, 30 rounds in under 3 seconds. The officer is dead before he hits the ground. Funk doesn't stop. He can't stop. The moment he pulled that trigger, he committed fully. He either kills everyone in that yard or he dies right here in the snow. There is no third option. He pivots, still firing, spraying an arc of fire across the German soldiers closest to him. Men scream. Men fall. Blood spreads across the white snow. Brass casings tumble through the cold air, steaming as they hit the ground. Then the magazine runs dry. 30 rounds gone in seconds. And this is the moment. This is where it either ends or it doesn't. A Thompson takes about 2 seconds to reload if you really know what you're doing. 2 seconds is an eternity in a firefight. 2 seconds is more than enough time for 90 Germans to kill 1 American. Funk yanks the empty magazine out, slams a fresh one in, racks the bolt, and keeps shooting. The whole sequence takes less than a heartbeat, pure muscle memory. Thousands of hours of training collapsing into one single fluid motion. At the same time, he's screaming at his 4 guards. Pick up their weapons. Pick up their weapons. The 4 men, still on their knees just seconds ago, scramble for the rifles dropped by the Germans. Funk has already put down. Moments ago, they were prisoners. Now they're in the fight of their lives. The Germans are in complete chaos. Their officer is dead. The American who was laughing at them is now killing them. Nobody gave an order for this scenario. Nobody knows what to do. Some of them shoot back bullets, crack past Funk's head. And 1 round kills the American soldier standing right beside him. Funk keeps firing, keeps moving. His 4 guards have weapons now, and they're shooting too. And suddenly, the Germans are caught in a crossfire they never saw coming. 60 seconds. That's all it takes. When it's over, 21 German soldiers are lying dead in the snow. 24 more are wounded. The rest, more than 40 of them, have thrown their weapons down and raised their hands. The prisoners are prisoners again. Leonard Funk stands in the middle of it all, smoke rising from the barrel of his Thompson, surrounded by bodies in the snow. He looks at his men. That, he says, was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. The aftermath is almost quiet by comparison. Company C secures Holzheim. The surviving Germans are marched to the rear under considerably heavier guard this time. Funk reports the incident up the chain of command matter of fact. No drama, just another firefight, just another day in the war. But the story doesn't stay quiet. It spreads through the regiment, through the division, through the entire 82nd Airborne, the sergeant who laughed at 90 Germans and killed 21 of them with a Tommy gun. When the Medal of Honor recommendation reaches Washington, nobody pushes back. What Funk did at Holzheim isn't a matter of interpretation. September 5th, 1945, the White House. President Harry Truman places the Medal of Honor around Leonard Funk's neck. And Truman, the most powerful man on Earth, the man who just ended World War II, the man about to reshape the entire global order, looks at this 5'5" former store clerk from Pennsylvania and says, "I would rather have this medal than be President of the United States." Let's just count what Leonard Funk walked away from World War II with. Medal of Honor for Holzheim. Distinguished Service Cross for the anti-aircraft guns in Holland. Silver Star for leading 18 men through 40 miles of enemy territory in Normandy. Bronze Star for meritorious service. 3 Purple Hearts wounded 3 separate times and kept fighting every single time. Plus the Croix de Guerre from France. The Order of Leopold from Belgium. The Military Order of William from the Netherlands, their equivalent of the Victoria Cross. Leonard Funk is the most decorated paratrooper of the Second World War. 5'5", 140 pounds. A former store clerk who became a legend. The war ends. Funk goes home. He doesn't write a book. He doesn't go on the lecture circuit. He doesn't turn the Medal of Honor into a speaking career or a political platform. He doesn't cash in on any of it. He goes back to Pennsylvania and takes a job with the Veterans Administration, helping other veterans cut through the paperwork. Process disability claims, navigate the bureaucracy, get what they were owed after giving everything they had. The same kind of quiet, unglamorous, necessary work he was doing before the war, for 27 years. Leonard Funk sits at a desk and helps veterans. He works his way up, becomes division chief of the Pittsburgh Regional Office. Good salary, steady hours, a pension waiting at the end. His wife Gertrude is with him through all of it. They have 2 daughters. They live in McKeesport, Pennsylvania, a working-class neighborhood in a working-class town not far from where he grew up. The Medal of Honor sits in a case somewhere. The Distinguished Service Cross, the Silver Star, all the decorations from France and Belgium and the Netherlands, all of it sitting quietly in a case. He never talks about any of it. When people ask about Holzheim, about the laughing, about the 90 Germans, he just shrugs. Did what I had to do. That's it. That's all he ever says. November 20th, 1992. Braddock Hills, Pennsylvania. Leonard Alfred Funk, Jr. dies of cancer. He's 76 years old. They bury him at Arlington National Cemetery section. 35. Grave 2373A among the heroes of every American war. At the time of his death, he is the last surviving Medal of Honor recipient from the 82nd Airborne Division in World War II. A fitness center at Fort Liberty bears his name. A highway in Pennsylvania bears his name. A post office in McKeesport was dedicated to him in 2023. But most people have never heard of Leonard Funk. They know Audie Murphy. They know Alvin York. They don't know the short, quiet paratrooper who laughed at 90 Germans and killed 21 of them with a Tommy gun. Here's what the story of Leonard Funk actually tells us. War doesn't favor the big. It doesn't favor the strong. It doesn't favor the reckless or the fearless. War favors the ones who keep thinking when everyone else has already stopped. At Holzheim, Leonard Funk had every reason in the world to surrender. The math was impossible 90 against 1. A gun in his stomach. His men already on their knees. Any rational person gives it up right there. But Funk wasn't doing math in that moment. He was thinking about Malmedy, about 84 Americans murdered in a field, about what happened to men who trusted the Germans with their lives. He was thinking about his 4 guards kneeling in the snow, And about the rest of Company C scattered across that village, completely exposed, about to be hit from behind without ever seeing it coming. So he laughed, maybe as a tactic, maybe from stress, maybe because the sheer absurdity of it all just hit him in a way he couldn't hold back. And while the German officer was rattled, while everyone in that yard was off balance and trying to make sense of what they were seeing, Leonard Funk made his move. 60 seconds later, he was standing in a field of bodies, alive, when by every reasonable calculation he should have been dead. There's a quote one Truman said directly to Funk, in the Rose Garden of the White House, on September 5th, 1945. I would rather have this medal than be President of the United States. Think about what that means. The most powerful man in the world, the man who ended the deadliest war in human history, looking at a 5'5" former store clerk from Pennsylvania and saying, I'd rather be you. Because what Truman understood, what everyone who has ever read a Medal of Honor citation understands, is that courage has nothing to do with size, nothing to do with strength, nothing to do with training or rank or how fearless you happen to feel on a given day. Courage is what you do when there's a gun in your stomach and 90 men want you dead. And Leonard Funk showed us exactly what that looks like.